Hi, it's Chris, and this is my review of tonight's reading of Reading Through the Bible in a Year Chronologically. Man, some good stuff. New Testament stuff here. Again, it's September 30th, our last day of September. October starts tomorrow. Luke 5, 1 through 11, Jesus teaching by the sea. Mark 1 through 40. Matthew 8, 1 through 4, and Luke 5, 12 through 16. Jesus heals a man with leprosy. Mark 2, 1 through 12. Matthew 9, 1 through 8, and Luke 5, 17 through 26. That's the mat carriers that dropped the man down in front of Jesus to heal him. And then we have Mark 2, 13 through 17, Matthew 9, 9 through 13, and Luke 5, 27 through 32. That's the calling of Matthew into discipleship. And then Mark 2, 18 through 22, Matthew 9, 14 through 17, and Luke 5 through 33. That is the disciples of Jesus eating and drinking, of celebrating with him and being checked on that. So the first little bit, Jesus teaches by the sea. In Luke 5, 1 through 18, he gets out in a boat. He has Simon Peter row Jesus out into the water to preach from the sea on to the people that were in the seashore. And when he finished preaching and teaching, he said, "Simon Peter, row out. Drop your nets." And he says, "Man, we just fished all night. We didn't catch a thing. The fishing's terrible right now. But nonetheless, if you're saying do it, let's do it." So he does. And he drops down the nets, and he brings in the nets, and they're so full he has to call on John and James over with their boat to bring it into the shore. And they realize at that moment, Simon goes, "Oh, I don't deserve this, Lord. You are God." Contrast to how we think about things now. Jesus told him to do something, and he did. And he still had to let down the nets. He still had to do the work. He still had to bring it in. He still had to call for help to bring it in. And he was blessed greatly. But he still had work to do. He couldn't just... And it was there. We have to work for things. We are blessed when we do as Jesus tells us to do. And we are blessed as we go forth and do the calling that he has on our life. But we still have to do the work. We're not without that. And we can't ask for it. It'll come as Jesus provides. So be thankful. Jesus heals a man with leprosy. The leper came in the 3 accounts, and Jesus touched him, had compassion on him and touched him. But the leper went away and didn't do what Jesus told him to do, which Jesus said, do what the law says. Be examined and be declared clean by the priests, and also bring the offering of the leper cleansed, as laid out in Leviticus, I believe. 14, yeah, Leviticus 14, 2 through 32 explains what that is exactly. That's the law. That's the law of the Jews that Jesus would have known and taught, and what the Pharisees would have taught, and would have been wrong for the man not to do that. But he was called, but he also told him not to speak of it to anybody. But yeah, he did, and his news grew. And then we have Jesus calling Matthew, or Levi, as it says. And also when he calls him, Jesus goes to his house, and Matthew throws a big party for Jesus, and invites all his friends and people, and all the Pharisees say, why are you hanging out with these people? These are detestable people. They're gross. They're awful. And Jesus says, I didn't come here for the righteous, self-righteous especially. I came here for the people that know they're sinners. If that doesn't convict you, I don't know what will. Do you think you're so righteous? Do you think you don't need Jesus? Once he's already cleansed you, you still need him every day. Don't be self-righteous. Be humble. That's what he's looking for, humility. We can't do this life right without him. We need the Holy Spirit. We're not doing it on our own. It's not us, it's Him through us if we're accepting of it. Our righteousness is His righteousness upon us through our faith and obedience. It's still His. It's all His. Give Him the glory, the honor, and the credit. And then the last little blurb was about fasting, about John's disciples and the Pharisees and them. They all fasted and prayed, but yet Jesus says, yeah, my disciples aren't fasting, they're praying. Because I'm the bridegroom and they're with me. We're partying. We're taking it. We're celebrating right now. And this is what we're called to do. But at some point, it's not going to be such. And then they will fast. And they will go through that. And they will mourn. But right now, they're celebrating. We're celebrating that I'm here. And then he brings out the whole parable about the new wine and new wineskins, because you couldn't put it in old wineskins. And then the parable about the tear in an old piece of cloth, so you don't take a new piece of clothing and ruin it, to take a patch out of it and put it on the old, because then the new will be ruined and the old will tear even worse, because the new cloth will have to shrink, and it won't shrink like it once you fasten it in place. So so how does that apply? Apply that to your life. Think about that a little bit. How does that fit with the celebrating of Jesus versus regular time with fasting and praying? Good question.